Hello everyone and welcome to the Captain Platform channel. My name is Anastasia and in today's video I will talk about dates in Power BI and particularly about this auto date time option in Power BI Desktop. You never seen that and you're not sure if you ever used it? I have a question for you. Have you ever seen that in Power BI? I bet you did. So this is due to that. If you want to learn more about this option and how this could impact your Power BI report, just keep watching. So here we are in Power BI Desktop. We will work with some sales data containing 3 date columns, so the due date, the order date, and the ship date. This comes from the AdventureWorks database, so maybe you already worked with this table, so the fact internet sales. And by default, we see that we have, for each of our dates, a hierarchy appearing. So we have the year, the quarter, the month, and the day. This is something very useful because, for example, if I want to analyze my sales per order date, I take the entire column, I put my measure, and for example, if I want to make something like this is something pretty cool because we have, the top level, which is the year, and we can drill down or drill up and so be able to analyze data by using the different levels. So this is something very, very cool and pretty useful in Power BI. What if I told you that those 3 date columns are actually tables? Yes, tables behind columns. It's a bit strange, but let me show you. So we will use an external tool called DAX Studio. Maybe you already heard of it, used it. If not, I suggest you really to learn about it and to use it when working with your data models. So when in Power BI Desktop, I will just click on the DAX Studio icon and it will open the DAX Studio connected to my Power BI model, which I just created in Power BI Desktop. So DAX Studio opened. I just divided my screen in 2. So we have the Power BI Desktop and the DAX Studio to be able to compare things. And the first thing that we notice is that, so in Power BI Desktop, we have only the fact internet sales table, which is the only one that we imported. And on the left side, actually in DAX Studio, we have 5 tables. So why do we have a difference? It's due to the auto date time option, which will actually create 1 table. So you can see it on the left, 1 table for each of the date columns in my fact internet sales table. So as my fact internet sales table contains 3 date columns, it will create the 3 date tables plus 1, which will be the template. We see that actually only the date hierarchy is visible. So this is why when you are in Power BI, you see only that hierarchy. But actually, you can also access the other columns, and maybe you already seen that. For example, if I want to create a new column. So if I just start typing order dates, you can see that actually you have the same choice coming from the template. So the ones that are hidden will actually appear in this part, but only in this part, not in the visible one under the date column. So you have a visible part, which is a date hierarchy, and you can access the other columns when referencing a column in a measure or in a calculated column. And this template is applied for each of dates. So we have, it's called the local date table. It's just a generic name, and it will respect the same logic that the template. What is interesting with that is that actually Power BI will generate a table containing all the dates from your min and max in your date column. So let's imagine that you have, that if we take our order date, if for example your min order date is 2010 and your max is 2023, it will generate all the dates, but really all the dates. It means that, for example, if on a date you did not have sales, this table will still contain that date. So it will generate from 2010 till 2023, and that will make this table. How we can see that? In my case, I think I have some data from 2010 till 2014. And when I hover over one of the date fields, I see that I have a min and a max from 2010 and till 2014. And actually it has 1,800, about 800 distinct values. So Power BI will generate all those dates. So that's cool, but this actually can be dangerous. Let's just, before talking about that dangerous part, let's just have a look at the size of our Power BI report file, which is under 1 megabyte, which is okay because we don't have a lot of data. My fact internet sales contains about 60,000 rows, so it's not very huge, so it's okay. And my different due date, order date, and ship date contain data for about 5 years, so from 2010 till about 2014. So it's not a lot of data. So let's imagine that, for example, for the ship date, our system, if it does not have a date, it will put a default one, which can be, for example, 2999. Let's imagine some systems have this default date, so either 1900 or 2999. So this is a date, but actually we will never use it. It's a default date. It means that no date, for example, was entered, so it puts the default one. And I will do a quick update in my fact internet sales. So I have one table, so I have one row, only one row that will have a ship date as 31/12/2999. Let me just do that. So I did the update in the database. So we have one single line with that date. I will just refresh my Power BI report. So it takes the latest data. So normally nothing changes. And I will also refresh the metadata of Tax Studio. And when we go back to our table, we can see that actually we have about more than 360,000 distinct rows for this table. Even if you only have one single line, which is 2999, Power BI will take the min max and will generate that table, which will contain a lot of values. Let's suppose that, okay, it's like that. Maybe it won't be an issue. I will never use that, max date. But let's just save our Power BI report and let's just go back to the folder where I saved the file, and we can see, I don't know if you remember, before when we didn't have that 299 date, our model, our Power BI report was under 1 megabyte. We changed almost nothing. We just have, a new date that came into our model, and the file is 3 times larger than the previous one. You did nothing, but it's already increased. And let's imagine that, okay, you say, okay, this is not a good practice to do that. I think you already heard a lot of people and read a lot of articles where people say that it's better to have a separate date table. And this is really a very good practice, so I suggest you to do that. And let's imagine that, okay, you want to do that and you want to apply the best practice, and you come here and let's just generate a table, a date table with one well-known DAX function. And we will use prepared already date script that will generate you a table based on the calendar auto DAX function that will analyze min and the max, the dates in your model, and will generate from the min till max. So I did this on purpose. So Power BI will take really from the min till the 299 that we already created. And it will generate all the dates. Because, for example, if sometimes you don't know, you want to create something dynamic and you are not aware of the min and the max, and you want just to cover everything, so you can use the calendar auto because it will just analyze everything that you have in your data model. But you have to pay attention to these kind of cases where you have some dates that you don't need to take into consideration, but we will keep it for demo purpose. And I also have some columns like the start of the month, start of a year, and things like that, but maybe we can sometimes use and need that. And we will see that on the right side, so in Power BI, we have so the date column, the end of the month, and the week of the year, and things like that. This kind of scripts can be very useful, and from my side, I'm often using the one from Radicat's website. I think that's the first one that I discovered when I started working with Power BI, and they have really complete scripts, so I will put a link. So you just copy paste and you can use it as is. You'll just have to update some parameters, but it works just perfectly. And you just copy paste and okay, you say, okay, I will define some hierarchies in this date table and I will only use those hierarchies. I will not use the other ones. But you can still see that you have those hierarchies each time. And if we take a look at the DAX Studio, and if I just refresh on metadata, we can see that we have a couple of more date tables. Why? Because you have a couple of new date columns and you just made things even more complex than before. Even if your intention was to do things in the right way by applying the best practices, by creating a date table, if the option is still on, so the auto date time option, it will still continue to create those date tables. And what is worse is that as we use the calendar auto function, it will create the different dates on the min and max. And if we take a look at the size of our Power BI file, let's just have a look at it. I will just update, save it. And let's just have a look. So you changed nothing. We have only factor interim sales table. We wanted to do things in a good way by adding a separate date table. So normally we did not really, made a lot of complex things. But if we take a look at our Power BI file size, it's 25 megabytes. It's 25 times more than the initial one, although we have still the factor interim sales table. We did not really add a lot of things, but our file size is 25 times more than the initial one. So as you can see here, it's a bit, it's a problem because actually, yeah, you did nothing special, but your file is increasing, and it's just, and also maybe it's not useful because you never use that, dates from 2900 till 2999. So this is why this option can be useful when you have some sample data with a few date columns and also with dates that are, let's say, in specific period. But when you have some default dates, have some technical dates, maybe this could be a problem, and this can cause some size issues, even if we did nothing but the file has increased. So to avoid that, what you can do and what is suggested is, first thing, to mark the date as a date table. So you just right click on it and you mark it as date table. And you'll just have to select the column. So I will just select the date and click on OK. And you will see that this small option will remove the hidden date tables from the date table. So if I just save it, and if I just also refresh the DAX Studio, we will see that the tables are gone. So the tables from the date table are gone. Link to the date table are gone. And if I also open my file size, we'll see that it's a bit less, it's more or less. So we can see that it's 6 megabytes, which is really which is better than the 20 and something that we had before, but it's still a big number compared to the initial version. And what we can also try to do is to deactivate that auto datetime option. So you just click on options, the file options and settings, the options, and this is something that you can activate or deactivate for the current report or also for the future report. So you can do whatever you want. So for the future, for all future reports is in the global. So it's something called Time Intelligence Auto Datetime for new files. But for this demo, we will do for the current file. And you will see that this option actually has an info icon, which explains a bit the feature. So automatically create a hidden date table for each field in the model that has a date or datetime data type. And if you just click on learn more, so you'll have a more complete documentation on that, and it's really very complete, so you can look through it. And one important thing is that this option is available only for the import and or composite models in Power BI Desktop. So for example, if you have a live connection or a direct query connection, this feature will not work. And if we go back to Power BI Desktop, we will just remove this option for this current file. I just click on OK, and you'll see that the due dates and the ship date are gone. The hierarchy for this one are gone. And if I refresh the metadata from DAX Studio, we see that we only have 2 tables that actually we added to our report. And if the final step, I save this file once again. And you can guess, I think that the file size will be lower. So if I just go back, I see that the file is about 3.9 megabyte. So it's still a bit big compared, to the initial file size, which was less than 1 megabyte. But why? Because a calendar auto will generate, you remember, all the dates between the start and the min and the max. And as our max is still 299, maybe we have to do some filtering. So, or use, another calendar function, which is just the calendar where we specify the start and the end. You can do that with some dynamic stuff. Or I will just do that, for example, some static one, but it's better if you do some dynamic things. So if I type only dates and the end, which will be, for example, let's just take today, even if we don't have data for today, but it will be faster. So you have the min, which will be 2010 and till today. So sometimes we often need, today's date. And we once again save the file. And as you can see, instantly your file size is under 1 megabyte. So it's cool, isn't it? So we managed to go from less than 1 megabyte to 25 and back again to less than 1 megabyte. So it's not a sorcery, it's just Power BI working like that. And the last thing that maybe you can ask yourself is, but how can I get back to that, hierarchy visible that I had in the auto datetime? So to do that, you just right click on the highest hierarchy level, so it's a year, and you just create a hierarchy. So you have a year hierarchy, and for example, you can add the month. And let's say that as well, the classic dates that you also want to have it. And you just click to add to hierarchy. You can, of course, rename it. So it's not called hierarchy, just you do like that. Dates hierarchy. And if, for example, I want to do the same thing that I showed you in the beginning, so I take the date hierarchy and I'm taking the sales amount as measure, and I will create this kind of graph, which is the exact same that we had in the beginning. Just don't forget to create a relationship between the newly created date table and the fact table, because otherwise, if I remove this relationship, let me just finish on that. Okay. If you just create the date table, but if you don't link it to the existing ones, that won't work. So keep in mind that it's better to create a separate date table, to mark it as date table, to remove the auto datetime option, and don't forget to link the different tables that you have in your report with this date table. So that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope that you learned something new, and I hope that I clarified a bit the different things linked to that auto date time option. Don't hesitate to ask questions, to like, to subscribe, to comment, and see you in the next video.